Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because finally Ratchet and Clank on PC has released. As you can see, I'm playing it in the background right now. And the port is a common Nix's W, it runs like a dream. And you can even play the game on a hard drive. Isn't that funny? Now obviously, is it gonna be as seamless to transition between the dimensions as it is on an SSD? No, of course not. But the game is still absolutely playable, although I have to be honest, that opening cutscene is I don't know if I was the only one who ran into that issue, but yeah, at least the opening cutscene was very rough. In fact, after watching it, I just switched it over to the SSD because I was like, ugh. But I watched the Digital Foundry video, Alex's video, and Fritz's video, and the game runs just fine on a hard drive. Again, obviously, the dimensional portals take longer to go through on a hard drive than an SSD, but the game is still 100% playable. Although I did encounter a bug where I quit out of the game because I was like, okay, I don't want to watch the cutscenes if the hard drive is going to struggle that much. So I moved it to my SSD and then I loaded back into the game and this happened. It's not like my rig, I have a pretty good rig. It's not like my rig is bad or anything.
Welcome to the grand marshals of our parade, Ratchet and Clank.
Oh god, oh no. What happened? We have a problem. Oh god. Oh. So, well, I was not expecting that. So I'm gonna restart from the last checkpoint. Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, did I just break the game? Where am I? Wait, this isn't the celebration. But luckily, I just deleted that save file, made a new one, and everything was perfectly fine. But anyway, that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here for JayTechTV, Salt, and I am happy to deliver. Because Jay, he's just in complete denial about the whole situation. Obviously, back when the game first got announced for PC, I made a video on Jay getting trolled by Spec, and he got so mad that he ended up blocking him. And now that the game is finally out on PC, he is in full cope mode. Now, unfortunately, we don't have too many clips to go over, mainly because so much of his stream is just filler, but the clips we do have to go over are very, very spicy. So yeah, enough of me rambling. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this.
And we're not even talking about going through the rest. We're talking about the weaker level PCs. You know, they don't show the game like a $400 console. So a $400 or $500 console is playing this game at a level that it would cost you thousands of dollars to invest on a PC, and that's what I've always been saying. So, you know, if you got it like that, if that's your platform of choice, hey, I'm not gonna knock you on that. But to say that that's the platform console gamers should migrate to for performance, no, we don't. Because no game is optimized to completion on PC. That is something that the PC fans have to do, or you have to beg a developer to release a patch, you know. But as far over here, a good amount of our games, most of our games are optimized, especially when it comes to exclusive.
Now, we have quite a few things to unpack in this clip, because so much cap is being spit right now, I could probably wear it to the next baseball game I go to. Not that I really go to baseball games, but whatever. Alright, first of all, this $400 console is playing games at a level that would cost you thousands on a PC. False. Don't get me wrong, these consoles are definitely the best price to performance out there. There's no doubt about it. But it does not cost thousands to build a PC that can perform at the same level of these consoles. Look at this. I went to PC Part Picker and I chose the parts that would most closely represent a console equivalent. In this case, it's a 3060 with a Ryzen 7 3700X, a 750 watt power supply, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, which is actually more than what the PS5 has, plus the chassis and motherboard, which don't matter a whole lot, as long as the motherboard can support your CPU, obviously. And I couldn't fit the total price on screen, but the total is $978 $8.93. If you don't believe me, then take a look at the screenshot and add up all the prices. So again, obviously, it's more expensive than a console. That's the whole point of a console. It's supposed to be a really good price to performance. But to claim that you need a PC that costs thousands of dollars to get similar performance to a PS5, that's such a lie. As I've just proven right here, you can do it for under $1,000. And obviously with the PC, it doesn't just stop at gaming. You can use it for really anything you need to. And that's not to mention you can mess around with the graphics settings to get better frame rates or better visuals. Second of all, yes, if you want the best performance possible, you absolutely need to come over to PC. If you want price to performance, then a console would likely be more your thing. But if you've got the money to spend and you just want the best performance possible, then PC is the way to go. Look, you had your point with price to performance being better on consoles, but don't try to argue that you don't need to be on PC to get the best performance possible. Obviously, that's complete BS. And the final point is the one that I really wanted to cover, the optimization thing. He says, oh, most PC games aren't optimized. We have to beg developers or we have to fix it ourselves. Even if a PC game isn't fully optimized, it still most of the time will run better than the console version. I mean, I honestly can't think of a game that runs better on console than PC. Now, obviously, in the past, you've had games like Forspoken, which had ridiculous GPU requirements. But it's very funny because Forspoken is an example of a game that was not well optimized for PS5, even though it was an exclusive, or at least a console exclusive. Then you had games like Jedi Survivor, which was just bad optimization on all platforms. But on consoles, even the Series X and PS5, you were getting resolutions as low as 900p in quality mode, you know, the mode that's supposed to have the better resolutions, and as low as 600p in performance mode. But if you want to talk about a truly PS5 exclusive game, let's talk about Final Fantasy 16, whose performance mode is all over the place when you're just exploring the world. And then once you're in combat, in order to maintain a stable 60, the game will drop all the way to 720p. This is one of the games that Square Enix was touting, oh, since it's exclusive, we can do all these crazy things with it. And yet when the game came out, people were recommending you play the game in quality mode because the performance mode was that inconsistent. But just in general this year, ports of games have been really bad, whether it's PC, Xbox, or PlayStation. This honestly might be a record-breaking year for how bad ports have been. Forspoken, Final Fantasy 16, Jedi Survivor, The Last of Us PC. Need I mention Gollum? It is actually insane how bad ports of games have been this year. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going.
Bad ports on games on PC are not bad games on consoles. You notice that you call them bad ports because you guys know you're getting them last. You're getting them second. Over here, they're first. We're not having that problem. It's a cheaper gaming device, and you're not dealing with those types of problems.
Again, look at the big PlayStation exclusive game besides Spider-Man, Final Fantasy 16. Are you really saying that port has no problems when it drops to 720p just to hit 60 FPS? Yeah, that sounds like a flawless port to me. There's definitely no problems with console versions of games. But no, dude, people are not calling PC ports bad because we get them second like with PlayStation ports. A port is not bad because you get it later. A port is bad because it runs poorly, or at least not as well as it should. And again, I just love that he says, oh, bad games on PC aren't bad games on consoles. Hello, Jedi Survivor, Forspoken, Gollum. Oh, sweet Lord Almighty, I forgot about Redfall. Now, how I managed to do this, I don't know. Maybe I just blocked it out of my mind. But yeah, overall, this year has sucked in terms of optimization for games. You have the visual diarrhea like The Last of Us on PC. You have the low resolution mess that is Jedi Survivor on consoles. I'm genuinely having a hard time telling if the companies are just being lazy or if there's actually some issue going on. But whatever, let's keep going.
Oh yeah, it should.
But again, the thing is, and PC fans can never deny this, we're getting a better product than them. And this is not first party only.
Honestly,
this is like anyone. Like, these devs are gonna optimize the fuck out of it for consoles.
I know I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but if dropping to 720p just to hit 60 FPS is what you consider optimized, then you have incredibly low standards, my friend. And again, I'm not trying to argue that the games are well optimized on PC either. My argument is that the games are optimized like garbage on all platforms, but even still, most of the time you'll get the better performance on PC. Obviously, there's issues with some ports of games on PC where you'll get like some stuttering or something like that. I think Elden Ring is a pretty good example. But I would personally much rather play at an unlocked frame rate all the way up to 165 FPS and take an occasional shader stutter than be locked to 60 at most and have the resolution and frame rate dip below on a regular basis. Although then again, you can't even get above 60 FPS with Souls games on PC, which is why the ports are so bad. But I'd still prefer it, but that's just me.
So basically, on a game-by-game basis, on a developer-by-developer basis, you're gonna get a good port, but you're not always gonna get one. And the lower spec and the weaker your SSD, especially when you're dealing with SSD-heavy PlayStation exclusives, you're gonna see major differences.
Yeah, well, the only differences with Ratchet and Clank that I've noticed between a hard drive and an SSD is going through the rifts takes a few seconds longer, and at least for me, the cutscenes were pretty stuttery, which is why I switched to an SSD. But the game is still absolutely playable, and it still runs better on a PC than a PS5. I guess you could say there's a major difference in going through the initial rifts on Ratchet and Clank, but in terms of gameplay, no, you're not seeing any major differences besides higher frame rates. But anyway, now let's get into the final clip I wanted to look at, and this is probably the most disingenuous one.
And running this game on this massive 12900K, 7100 megabyte per second drive, RTX 4090, it's not at all taxing the system. The frame rates are going nuts here, but it is still doing these interstitial loads in the warp zone, the purple warp zone, slower than the PlayStation 5 with radically more powerful hardware.
So, even with his, again, master rank PC, he's still dealing with problems in the warp zones that the PS5 just doesn't give you.
So you see, he played one of the clips from the Digital Foundry video on this game, and in the clip the guy said, oh well, the PC, even though it's fully maxed out, it's still loading slower than the PlayStation 5. It's very funny that Jay decided to not actually put the video on the screen and only play the audio though, because you know what, let's do something real quick. Let's go ahead and let's actually play the full clip on screen so you guys can see what the guy is talking about.
And running this game on this massive 12900K, 7100 megabyte per second drive, RTX 4090, it's not at all taxing the system. The frame rates are going nuts here, but it is still doing these interstitial loads in the warp zone, the purple warp zone, slower than the PlayStation 5 with radically more powerful hardware. And
so as you can see, yes, the PC version was loading it slower, but it's like a second slower. There's like an initial stutter in the very first portal, and then that's pretty much it. Jay's like, oh yeah, you guys can see even with this crazy powerful hardware, he's still having trouble running the game. He's still dealing with problems. He's not dealing with any problems. It's just a little stutter in the first warp that causes the game to go like a second behind the PS5 version. God forbid. Man, PlayStation truly does have that just better version of the game, don't they? And it's funny because I actually watched Alex's video on this, and I'm pretty sure the reason this is happening is because there's like some SSD bottleneck or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically there's something where like the game isn't fully taking advantage of the PC SSDs. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just like paraphrasing what Alex said, but it's just so funny to me the way he went about it. He didn't actually show the clip on screen. He could have easily pulled it up, but no, he only played the audio to make it seem worse than it actually was. And then you go and watch the actual video and you see it's like a 1 second difference. I don't know how much more of this I can actually handle, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right here. Basically what we learned today is that PC is just inferior to PS5. You have to wait a whole 1 second longer for a game to load, and PlayStation just doesn't get many bad ports of games at all, especially their exclusives. Cough cough, Final Fantasy. But yeah, anyway guys, with all that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Apologies for not having a lot of videos out recently. There just hasn't been a whole lot to talk about, and most of the Ratchet and Clank PC salt has been on Twitter, and that's not my area. So yeah, I'll try to do my best to keep content coming, even though it's very dry on the YouTube side of things. And yeah, with all that being said, be sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.